everybody, my name is Nelann, aka Lady Language 411. I am a former language educator. I taught high school Spanish for many, many years and also trained in technology and then became an English language coach. And now I am serving as a creative consultant for my own thing. I help people thrive across cultures using three things: technology, language learning, which we're going to be talking about today, and design. So I want you to realize that language does not have to be boring, nor does it have to be textbook heavy. So today I'm going to share with you 5 resourceful language learning tips for both teachers and learners that are useful for all ages. Okay, let's get into it. Here's tip number 1. I want you to practice using vocabulary in context and in isolation. What does this mean? I know that we're familiar with creating lists. We have flashcards. There are apps and tools for that. Continue to do that. Continue to study and build on your vocabulary with the list. In addition to using the list, I want you to think about using the language in context, meaning you can use menus, you can use applications, you can use realia, which are things that are tangible. I could use a book or my glasses and talk about those things. Use the language in context. All of those vocabulary words that you wrote down, go ahead and study those, but then put them into sentences about things that relate back to you or how you can use them officially. Okay, here's tip number 2. I want you to balance your focus time and remember that all domains are created equal. There are 4 if you did not know, and I only understood this because I switched roles from being a language teacher or foreign language teacher to becoming an English language coach. Those 4 domains are reading, listening, speaking, and writing. So what do I mean when I say make it equal and balance your time of study? Practice in all of those domains. So one day you might be able to focus on reading, pick up some short stories, take a look at that, and do things that are at your level. Follow accounts that are on social media who maybe, study or do what it is that you do or like to enjoy. If that's getting up or hair stuff or educators, right? Do those things, read that, practice writing. Right now, I'm going back into revamping my skill in French. So what do I do? Not every day, which I probably could benefit more, but at least 2 to 3 times a week, I practice writing. So I have a French journal. I practice my vocabulary. And just like tip number 1, I'm using those vocabulary terms that I've learned in context and putting them into my writing practice. Speaking, I know, trust me, I was on the same side as you. When we're learning a new language, when we're acquiring something that is different, we feel like a cornball when we first beginning to speak. It's okay. It's a part of doing it. I want you to be able to practice your speaking, get in front of a mirror, get in front of a camera, record yourself. Do those things so that you become comfortable about how it is that you sound. You can even shadow different podcasts, right? That's the 4th one, listening. So listen to a podcast, but then slow it down a little bit. Practice what that speaker sounds like and then mimic that same thing. So tip number 2, I want you to remember to balance out all of the domains, right? All domains are created equal, and balance your time in practicing in all of them: reading, listening, speaking, writing. Okay, we have made it to tip number 3. This one is one of my favorites because we hear the word personalization a lot, all right, especially in the language classroom. But it's crucial, right? And it is true. So I want you to remember to make it personal, which is tip number 3. And there are 2 things that I'm talking about when I say make it personal. The first one is do things that you enjoy in the target language. I am a wordie. I grew up playing Scrabble. We have Scrabble tournaments and battles in my household, okay? I'm a trash talker. So what do I do for other languages that I enjoy? Remember, I have 4 under my belt. English is my native language. After that comes Spanish, then there's Portuguese, there's French, and eventually I would love to get back into American Sign Language. But as far as word games go, I do have Scrabble, obviously, but then there's Wordle that I play for English, and then there's Wordly that I play for the others. And I really do play in all 3 languages, right? So I kind of piggyback off of the skills that I'm using for one tool and I put it back to another. So because this is just a word game and it's just me practicing and building my vocabulary, what do you think I'm going to do next? I'm going to go back to what I told you in tip number 2. Not only am I going to utilize the tool and create a list of it and study that vocabulary, but now I'm going to put it into context and actually I'm going to make it personal to myself. So let's say, for example, I had the word avião. Okay, avião is in Portuguese and that means plane. All right, in Spanish, avión I'm not sure what it is in French. However, my job now is to put that in context and to make it personal to me. So what could I say? Eu gosto muito de voar, de voar. Eu gosto muito de voar por avião, right? I love or I like to fly a lot on the plane. Done, 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 right? All right, so that is a piece of making it personal. The next thing is I know that a lot of us use this one app with the lovely green bird, and we're worried about getting the streaks, which is beautiful. So, in addition to using that same application, I want you to take the sentences, right? Because a lot of people say that the sentences don't make sense. Take the sentences that you get from that tool and then swap out the verb or swap out the subject and then change it so that it fits you or your family member or something that isn't about you. That is also an idea of making it personal. Okay, so that was tip number 3, make language learning personal. Okay, we have made it to tip number 4, and I'm so excited that we're here. This one is embracing repetition and doing it consistently. So for tip number 4, all the things that we have been incorporating before all throughout the week. There are different tools that I use to maybe set up my calendar or set up my time, and I even write them out with my own journal. So you can do the same by creating a pattern or creating a habit of repeating those things that help you learn. If it's listening to a certain podcast, or if it's a daily devotional that's in the target language, or if it's reading a book or a short story, doing that for at least 10 to 15 minutes a day, working on your speaking, right? Getting in front of the mirror and maybe repeating the vocabulary words out loud. Get into the habit of practicing all your 4 domains and figuring out what kind of daily or weekly schedule that you're going to do. Okay, so that's really tip number 4, remembering that repetition is key. Finally, this is my favorite, and I say this with all love. This is tip number 5, and that is build a community, right? Language is about communication. How am I going to be able to communicate with someone else in their target language if I have not built community, right? Funny that the root word in both of those is commune, to commune. Okay, so to talk with, to fellowship with, to bring about, right, to join someone else. You can study language by yourself for a little bit, but what good is it if I can't practice that with another person? So build your language learning community. There are different applications for that as well. But you may even want to start your own group, which I would love to be a part of. Invite me in so we can have conversation in whatever the target language may be. So thank you all so much for listening today and for giving me a chance to share my 5 language learning tips. And in all of the language, thank you in English, in Spanish, muchas gracias, in Portuguese, muito obrigada, in French, merci beaucoup. And that is a wrap. Catch you on the next time. Remember to follow me at Lady Language 411.